In the previous lecture, we covered all the functions that were part of the function app module for our project. In this one, we'll be taking a look at how we can create our own API management services. For that, you need to click on this API management, and there you'll get the existing APIs that you have created. You can create a new one by clicking on the add button, and here you need to choose the resource group and then the resource name. So you can give it any name. Over here, did you find another API? And here you can provide the organization name and administrator email. Once that's done, you can select the pricing tier and click on review plus create to create your API management service account. Once the account has been created, you will be able to see it over here in this grid. And the tier, as you can see, we have two. One is the basic and the other one is developer. With developer account, there might be scenarios where you send some request and you do not get the response at all from the API, because there's no guarantee in this tier that it will function all the time. But with basic, you get at least that kind of thing. So for testing purposes, developer is good, but if you want to have a smooth all-time available response from the Azure Web Services, then go for a basic tier at least. Now, if I go inside this Did You Apply API, there are a couple of things that you need to take care of. For instance, if I show you over here the APIs that it contains, you will find that there are many ways of creating an API over here inside your API management services. The one which we have used over here is the function app. So what it does is, whatever functions you have created in your function app, it will take all of them and create an API for each one of those methods. Now here I've already done that. So if you see over here, Did You Apply Function App is the name of the API. Clicking on this will provide the list basically of all the functions that we had in our function app. So when you clicked on this function, and it will basically import everything and create APIs for all those methods. For instance, all the get ones are having get prefixed. Post, like save applicants, save candidate jobs, save company, save jobs, save users. And then this was the test function that we created initially. Then upload resume. You might find two versions if that particular method supports more than one HTTP method. Now here, let's go one by one. So if I click any of these methods, so from top, if I go and say get candidate jobs, let's click on this. You'll find three sections for each of the APIs that we have created: the front end, the inbound processing, and the back end. Now front end, as you can see, it just says what is the name of your API method. So if I click over here, the display name is get candidate jobs. The internal name is get, that is the HTTP method, dash, and then the name of the API method itself. URL will be HTTP method, that is get, and then / get candidate jobs. So this is what your API method looks like. This is the template. Then if you go to query, any query parameters that you feel like should be part of this particular API, you can provide it over here. I'll be showing you some of the methods where you have all these things, so rest assured about that. Then we have the headers, request, and response. That said, this is the front end. Now let's go ahead and see the inbound processing. So every time you create an API method, a base policy will automatically be applied to it. Then over here you have set backend service. Now from where you get this, you can just go ahead, click on add policy, and here you have all these created for you, like rewrite URL, mock response, limit call rate, set query parameters, allow cars, other policies as well. And let's click on the set backend service. If I just go ahead and go to code editor, you'll see that this is the backend service that I have. This is the ID, and then this is the backend ID, Did You Apply Function App. So when you import this automatically gets created for you as well. So this one is basically talking to the function app that we have. This was the inbound processing. Then you also see outbound processing. Here we have a default policy base. If I show you the code editor, you'll see that's pretty much it that it has. And just reference that I'm connected or referring to did you apply function app. Now coming on to the backend part, here you can see that this is Azure function app, and the function app that we created was did you apply function app. So it has got these function app. You can see that when I clicked on it, it takes me to the dashboard itself. Did you apply function app, and here you will be able to see all those functions that we created. Now let's go back to API, and this is our initial get candidate jobs. And on top of it, if you see, this was the design tab that you see. Then we have the settings. So for a function API that we have created, here is the display name, which you see over here. Did you apply function app? You can give any name to it, and here you can provide a description for the same. You can choose the URL scheme. Here it's HTTPS, API URL suffix, and base URL. Then the subscription, so header name and a query parameter. So all these API URLs that we see will be containing a header name and a query parameter called subscription key, using which we will be able to authenticate that this is coming from a genuine URL. And then this is the security that we have. Now if you go to test tab, you will see that for these API calls that you have created, you'll be able to test them out as well. So here we have the name get candidate jobs, and you can add a parameter to it, and then you have this request URL, and if you click on send, you will get the response as well. Then we have the revisions. So if you have made any revisions to your API app that you've created over here, will be shown over here. And then this is the change log that we have. So that was a brief introduction on how to create API management services and a sample API. Here we have explored how we can create an API using our function app.